my co-host, Alex Popoff from Effect Magazines. You guys, Effect Magazine, you know him. And today our guest is Phil Cody of Cody and Company London, which is a shoe-based brand in the city of London, in London and in Sheffield. So this is, the normal format, a Q&A. Alex, do you want to start on the questions?
Yeah, of course. Please tell me what's a portrait of your client? A man who is wearing your shoes. Who do you imagine?
Very good question, Hicks. We imagine somebody who firstly wants to buy British-made shoes. British-made shoes are important to them, but perhaps they're frustrated that most British-made product is a little bit conservative for their liking. They want more of the continental handwriting, but they want it to be made in England. They want the quality assurance, and they're interested in supporting British industry. So he's a guy he's got a bit of disposable income, I guess, because the product made in England's always going to sit around £200+ mark. But he's invested in the brand. He wants to know about where it's made, but he doesn't just want to buy made in England brogue, which is something he can get from many other brands. He wants to see a bit of a development and a little bit more reference to trend.
Okay, my question is, why did you start a brand? You mentioned some things in answering Alex's question, but why a shoe brand?
Well, I've been in the footwear industry for about 28 years now. Mm-hmm. So I've worked in different areas of the industry, from working with other brands and in a sort of sales capacity, account management capacity, to sourcing product from across the world for customers from China, India, Portugal. And I guess through that time, you have many of your own ideas about what your own brand would look like. So I think the brand's been a long time in its conception, and you have a lot of things where you look at other brands, you think, I like this brand, if it was mine, I'd like to do it like this. And I've always admired British brands, but one of my frustrations has always been, why don't they move a bit faster? You don't have to refer to your quote earlier, it doesn't have to be tacky, it doesn't have to be a slave to fashion, but there could be more of an evolution, a reference to trend. And when we see British brands tackling a sneaker, for example, it feels a little bit clumsy sometimes. Maybe they've bought an available unit. Sadly, in some cases, they've made the upper in India and then just stuck the sole on in the UK. And for me, that's not made in Britain. So we, accumulate a lot of experience on what a good sneaker product should look like down the years, and we put together our first evolution, I guess, of our sneaker, which has a beautiful pure rubber sole, which is actually made in France, a company called Lacte Heavier. And we wanted a very, very soft upper, which wasn't typical of a British brand. So this felt more like a premium Italian brand, I guess, to use a good example, taking reference from people like Tom Projects, maybe a bit of Axel Arigato, brands like that. So that's the philosophy.
Alex?
Yeah. Now, a very long-awaited question. I really wanted to ask it. What's your point on modern men's wardrobe? The must-have shoes pairs. What should modern men own?
What is, sorry, Alex, could you just repeat the question? What was the most important style in a men's wardrobe?
Yep. Must-haves in men's wardrobe. I mean in shoes.
Okay. I think probably at the moment, the number one must-have has got to be a sneaker. The quite clean silhouette, probably not too much going on. It's probably white or off-white, or could be black. And this is obviously now very widely worn with suits, as the international business dress code gets more and more relaxed. This is the number one shape to have in your wardrobe, and that could be from a £75 sports brand, or perhaps a fashion brand at that end, right the way through to a sort of £500 Gucci. It's doing the same job. And I guess number two, where most guys can kind of reference a slightly smarter look, it's probably a Chelsea boot. Again, many guys is, but it's easy. And so if I was going to put two shoes in a wardrobe, I think those would be the two. They'd be the two styles.
Okay, my question. Well, actually, it's kind of two questions. Okay, your brand, Cody and Company, is very down to earth. The look is very down to earth. Was that the philosophy of the brand? Is that the philosophy of the brand, for example? Very down to earth. That aesthetic is accessible.
Yes, I certainly wanted it to be accessible and something which was all about the materials. So, which present challenges when selling online because our product is always even better when handled firsthand because we use very premium materials. For example, the suede we used on the Chelsea boots and the loafers is the same quality suede that churches use from a supplier called Stetson Co. Leeds. So it's a really premium suede. You could argue it's a bit overkill, but it's what we wanted to do with the product. So put a lot of bang into that materials. And yes, make it accessible. We would take that further in future products. We'd be a little bit more experimental with branding, probably a little bolder, but we would always want to have a staple range in there which was accessible to guys who wanted a very good quality product, which is made in England, and that they understood where it came from, where the materials came from, and there was some transparency to it.
Oh, okay. Alex?
Yeah, I got two questions actually, too. The first one is, what's the difference between good quality and poor quality shoes? What's the difference between them?
Well, it's several factors. Firstly, with the materials, you can produce a shoe which looks very similar to our sneaker and many sort of more premium sneakers for a very small fraction of the price in another country, or in the UK perhaps with cheap materials. But in wearing the shoe, it quickly became evident that the materials weren't. It would start to lose its shape quite quickly. It would not perform very well. So firstly, materials, and then workmanship. Where prices tend to get cheaper, it's for a couple of reasons. One is you're making in an area where it's cheap labor, and so it's much cheaper to produce. And then beyond that, they start to strip out the process. So making shoes properly involves a lot of process, and the more process, the better the quality. So you start to strip out process, you start to use cheaper materials, the product becomes inferior. On a photo, it may look the same, but once you start to wear it, you'll understand the difference.
Oh, okay. So I learned something new.
Yep, and I want to ask another one question. The second one is this series. What's the difference between a nice pair of shoes and the awesome one?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that's quite subjective. I think when you start to go from maybe £100 up to £500, there's a combination in there of going from good quality materials to amazing materials. I think sometimes for the layman, the difference might be subtle. Maybe you're trying a £30 bottle of wine and a £500 bottle of wine. I know I can't tell the difference between those two. Not that I've tried the £500 wine, but I've got a feeling I probably wouldn't be able to tell. But then brand can carry a huge amount of weight. Obviously, I've looked at products from some very premium brands and thought, well, I know that product only cost X, but they're selling it for hundreds and hundreds. If I can use another brand name as an example, Balenciaga, it's a triple X trainer they started making in Italy.
No, won't buy it.
They moved it to China. This is my understanding. It's the £700 trainer, and I think the cost price is significantly lower. And another brand would not be able to sell that for more than £180 perhaps. So I think there's a combination of brands, but in terms of an actual product, I think it boils down to materials and workmanship. If you look at a Gucci Derby shoe, in detail. It's a thing of perfection. It's just, you can see the love in the finishing. Nothing is left to chance on this shoe. It's something I'd like to put on my mantelpiece rather than wear it. So I think you get to craftsmanship and you get to very premium materials, and that's an awesome shoe for me.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Gucci. Next question is that you make the shoes in Sheffield, right? I mean, is Sheffield like a shoe production area? Was in the past a shoe production area of the UK? I mean, I don't really associate Sheffield with shoes, but
no, it's part of the story we quite liked. Not something that's particularly came about by design. The heartland for shoe production in the UK is Northampton, and we found historically it was very hard to get your own branded production in a Northampton factory because they were so busy with their own brands. So this would be the marquee brands, you know, Barker, Loke, Church, Grenson, Checkers, as you mentioned. The Goral factory is much newer. It's been established a little over 10 years. It's actually run by a Polish family who have been producing shoes in Poland for about 85 years through the generations, and then moved the operation to Sheffield. So it was a great opportunity. They were looking for people to work with, and we quite like the angle. Obviously, Sheffield is better known for steel, so
yeah,
not a typical association.
yeah, steal the shoes. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but they've been good to work with. It's been quite a good learning curve together, and to be able to make shoes in the UK, having worked in the industry for as long as I have, is a bit of a dream come true. So it was a good combination.
Oh, okay. Well, I have. I'll let Alex ask the next question. Alex.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you how to keep the right balance between heritage and traditions and innovations.
Well, this is sort of the crux of what I'd like to do, really. The British Goodyear welted construction, which the brand I mentioned before do so fantastically well, and they have a whole pipeline of skilled people come through, and they hit different levels till they become, you know, what they call a master. It is amazing, and it's something to be celebrated. But I think a slightly more open-minded approach to what are people wearing, and you know, as we've seen over the last year, guys aren't really wearing smart shoes very much anymore, and we have to be able to do something else, but to a very high standard. And as I said, it's the sneaker that's the main silhouette, but you can still make a very well-crafted sneaker as a product with a lot of integrity. You don't have to abandon your principles, and that's kind of the line we'd like to go down. But no, should we start just making uppers in another country because we're not very good at it and sticking the sole on in the UK? Absolutely not. That's selling out as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I think we can follow trend and we can follow what people want without abandoning our principles.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. This is a very crowded field, as you know. You worked in the business. We're not going to mention names, especially after we just trashed Balenciaga, because I'm not going to buy that shoe. Moving forward, why would a person buy a Cody and Company shoe as opposed to the other brands, especially some of the bigger brands who have the big media marketing budgets for them? We know who we're talking about here.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I think it's a very good question, and one I'm sure we'll grapple with for the next few years as we try to grow our business. I think the story has to be important, and all of the information we're getting is that a lot of people, not everybody, want to know the brand. They want to know about it, want to know who you are, why you're doing what you're doing. So the kind of why has become more important than just the what. And they want more and more to know about your pipeline. When we first registered with an organisation called Make It British, you may have come across Promote British made products. They asked us on their questionnaire, what is it why do you say you're made in Britain? What is it about your shoe? And I was a bit confused at first, and I realised, of course, it's a much overused term, made in Britain, or a British brand. There's lots of British brands who don't make any shoes in the UK. As far as I'm aware, Paul Smith don't make any shoes in the UK. Now, they make beautiful shoes, but I don't think that they're a British brand. So I think the story has to be important. They want to buy a British shoe because of the heritage, or because they just want to be more environmentally aware. And if we're not shipping materials across thousands of miles, this is a better prospect. And they want quality. And I guess they're happy to try new brands. And that's probably where our biggest challenge lies in finding that customer who does want to try a new brand, because many people do like to rely on an established brand still. So I think it's a combination of things, but the main thing is probably understanding and knowing the brand, knowing who they are and what they're about.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah. What's your understanding of sustainability?
What is my understanding? The hot topic of the day is that the materials, the processes, the wastage you're using is all sustainable. So you're not putting a lot of excess waste into the environment. You're not using materials and processes which are perhaps creating harmful chemicals or using harmful chemicals. If you're using a lot of packaging, then obviously there's some fairly sort of simple rules there for FSC-based materials, which are regenerative. You're putting back as much as you're using. Carbon footprint is minimal. I think probably the biggest part of it is making locally and not shipping materials all over the world. Some of the stories we hear, there's some fantastic innovations out there. One of which is you'll know about is recycling plastic, which has been collected from the sea. And of course, you see more and more people doing this, and the question is, well, where does it come from? And then you hear that some of the Chinese factories are producing plastic bottles so they can then recycle them to use in recycled plastic products. I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I'm not sure this is quite the idea. So I think that the main thrust of it is working locally. The carbon footprint for fashion is enormous, and we've worked on that side of the industry for a long time, and we see what's involved. And then exploring new technologies, I suppose. There's a amazing new material, I think it's called Milo, where they've made an alternative leather out of fungi, the root system of fungi.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
And it's very, very cheaply reproduced. It's natural. I think Stella McCartney's actually used it on product, and I think I might have seen it. Be surprised to see Adidas may have actually trialed this, because obviously the sports brands are under a lot of pressure to do this. So I guess that's what sustainability is all about for me. It's working locally first and reducing the huge carbon footprint, and then working and embracing new materials, but trying to be honest about it and not just using it as lip service to this movement.
Okay. All right. My final question is, you guys make different shoes. You have the Chelsea boot, the sneaker. I think you have a derby and loafer.
That's right.
First time buyer sees your shoes somewhere, either online or in a store. What would you recommend they buy to try out the brand? Which style?
What to go for first? I think I'd probably point them towards the sneaker.
Why?
Because it's very, very comfortable, as well as we're not a comfort brand, because obviously that's not very sexy and that's not where we wanted to go with it. But people still need to be able to enjoy the shoes. One of my I guess critiques of the British product is that there seems to be like a breaking in process with a lot of this Goodyear relative. We wanted people to be able to put our stuff on it to feel glove-like straight away. And the sneaker is very soft. The sole is amazing. It's the pure rubber. It's very, very soft. And I think it'd be a good introduction into a different feeling product. And from there, they can hopefully go further.
Oh, okay. So you heard it here first, guys. Alex, last question.
Yeah, and my last question is, what's your professional goal and what's your professional dream?
That's two questions, but okay, we'll let him go with that.
I guess my professional goal is to use all of my industry experience across manufacturing around the world to create a successful and sustainable British-made shoe brand where we can stick to our principles. And what was the other one? Your professional dream?
Yeah.
I think it's maybe the same thing.
Not compete with Nike? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. To make that a reality, to have a successful, this is where the trade-off comes. To be successful, you need to sell internationally, and therefore your carbon footprint starts to increase. So if we can find a way to make that work better, if we can get some critical mass so we can warehouse product in our key territories, so we're not shipping individual pairs across via air freight, that would be a great solution. That would be a very good day.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Phil. Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more thing. I'm sorry. Where can they find Cody and Company shoes, Phil?
At the moment, we're online only. So it's our website, which is codyandcolondon.com. We will look to a wholesale model in the coming seasons, but at the moment it's just on our own website.
Okay, everybody, I'll provide the link below. Thank you. Ciao.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.